Hello and welcome to lesson 3 of week 5. My name is Mildred. In this lesson, we are going to look at the position property. We are going to look at other properties used along with the position property, like the top, right, left, and bottom property. And then we are going to look at the ZIndex property. For this lesson, I have created 3 containers on the page, and each container with a slightly different style so that we can see the effect of the position property and the different values that the position property takes. In CSS, there is a property called position, and I'll do this at the middle container, which is the container 2. Written position, and then we have values like absolute, fixed, relative, static, and sticky. Static is the default value for the position property. And when the static value is specified, nothing happens on the page. It is as though there is no position property on the page. The position property is used to set how an element is positioned in a document. And then it takes one of these values, but we use the top, right, left, and bottom values to determine the final location of the element. We can see this when we change the value of the position from static to, let's say, relative. If this is relative, it's relative to what? We want the top to be 20 pixels, and we want the left to be, let's say, 40 pixels. I want this middle container to be positioned relative to this, which means that it is going to be relative to the normal position of top 20 and left 40 pixels. And what this does is that it will adjust the other content to fit any gap left after this position. So when I save and I refresh my page, this middle container should be positioned relative to the top and left value that I have specified. Let me change the value of this position property to fixed. When the value is fixed, it is positioned relative to the viewport, and the viewport is the visible area of the screen, and it remains on the same spot on that page even when you have like a long page that you scroll. So if I want it to be fixed at a position, so I want it to be fixed at the top, and I want it to stay at the right. So I want it to be at the top right of the page. So I'll specify 0, 0, save, and this container should be at the top right of the page. And if this page happens to be smaller with a scroll bar, then we can't see the effect here. But when it is fixed, even if you scroll the page, you will have that container remaining fixed at that position. And you see this when we start doing navigation bars, when you need a fixed position navigation. We want to change the value from fixed to absolute. When the position is absolute, it is positioned relative to the closest position ancestor, and if there is none, it is positioned relative to the initial containing block. An absolute position element is removed from the normal flow of the document, and then it leaves no space for the other elements. And we can position this absolute with a top of, let's say, 20 pixels, and let's say right of 20 pixels, or left of 20 pixels. So 20 px and left of 20 px. Save, refresh, and we'll have this positioned absolute. There is another value called sticky, and when you position an element sticky, what it does is that it stays at the scroll position. And I'm going to put some text on this page so that we have scroll bar and we'll be able to demonstrate this better. Let me add some text. And then we have scroll bar on this page to be able to get up and down the page. So when you position an element sticky, so let's say we want it to be sticky at the top 50 pixels and then the bottom, or let's say the left 50 pixels. When I refresh my page and I begin to scroll this page, every container moves apart from the container 2. It's moving following the scroll position of the page. And then I'm going to scroll and we'll see container 2 staying at the scroll position and goes back to position when we get to the top of the page. And that is how the sticky positioned element behaves. So let's illustrate the fixed again, since we have text on the page. When we have position fixed and we want it to be fixed at the top, and let's say right. When I refresh my page, I have that container at the top right, and even when I scroll, it remains on the same top right and it doesn't scroll with the page. We have a property called the ZIndex property. And what we do with the ZIndex is to specify a stack order for the elements on a page. And we can illustrate the ZIndex better using an image and a text. And I'm going to put an image on the page. Let's say image, and the source is images / car3 dots, what's the file extension for car3? JPG. And then we have a text on the page. Let's say this is an image of my favorite car. So I have an image and a text on the page. To better illustrate the ZIndex, we are going to make sure that we position this image at a particular point on the page, and then we make the text run above it. So we want to see the stack order of the text and the image on the page. Let's put a style for the image tag. We want the image to be fixed, so the position is going to be fixed, and then we want it to be fixed to the left, and we want it to be 0 pixels left. We also want it to be at the top of the page, so put it at 0 pixels, and then we'll put the ZIndex. We can have a positive or negative ZIndex. If we put a ZIndex of 1, the image is going to be above the text on the page, and then the text will be hidden behind. If we put a ZIndex of -1, it means that the text is going to run on the image and the text will not be hidden. So this is the use of the ZIndex property, and we can have a negative or a positive stack order, where negative means that the element that is with a lower ZIndex goes behind,
and the one with the higher Z index goes above. And this is where we end this lesson. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.